And we're live.
We're live?
Yep.
So cool.
That sounds fine. Not just good, but good enough. Cool. So is it actually working? Live stream and all?
Seems like it.
That's great.
Cool. So YouTube can see us right now?
Yeah.
Tweeting it.
All of YouTube.
Is this actually working as a microphone, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because I can't hear myself any better than I normally can. So. And I refuse to project. When I have a microphone in front of me, I talk quieter because it has a job to do.
It's probably good for this. Don't want to blast this out. Make my work harder to edit it.
Can I create some like feedback?
Wish you didn't. No, that's not.
Okay.
And they were never invited back.
Or just me.
If it's a package, I have no problem throwing you out the airlock. If it's a package deal, I'll say, I don't have to be him.
Is it a bad sign that I'm reading some of my notes and I don't remember what they're about or what I'm referring to?
I think that's probably good. That's
Okay.
probably like your mind scabbing over the sort of awful bits.
Yeah. Because I wrote down the name Gary Hecker.
Was he the guy in the?
He's the guy in the suit.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. Hacking good, Gary. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I was in the room.
I think you were in the room.
That should go to. Okay, great.
We're good to go?
Yeah, we'll start recording here in just a sec, but I just want to say thanks to everybody for coming out. Appreciate you taking the time. Thanks to everybody on the stream as well, on our YouTube. Thanks very much for tuning in, you that are from away.
For those of you on this side, if you can't see this TV, you are going to miss a central component of watching parts of the awful movie we watched. So I would recommend sliding over to another thing if you can't see it. The audio-visual aspect is essential.
For the live show,
So
it's going to work, so we'll see how it translates to a recorded podcast.
It
Not
can't-
well, I'll bet.
It can't do worse. Last time we did a live podcast, I had like virtually a PowerPoint and just laughed at the stuff I put up there without ever referring to what it was. So, yeah, I know better now.
There was a series of supplemental tweets, I think, that figured it out.
I should have my water too.
Yeah, you want to open that up before, because it was actually very difficult.
Oh, no.
We don't want to get that on camera. I mean, on the pod.
You mean my superhuman strength,
Yes.
which they can hear through the airwaves?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And folks as well, we've got pins in the back. Some That Baseball Show pins. Help yourself to any of those. We've got a couple of different designs. We'd love to see those rocking around Treefort. That would be pretty sweet. We would appreciate that a great deal.
What's your mascot?
That's right. It's our mascot, the trash robber. Yeah.
It
So
is.
great. It's a little raccoon swinging a baseball bat.
Yeah, it's an inside joke. We were trying to come up with our best minor league baseball team names. Things like the Yard Goats, which is an actual team name, and the Biscuits. Just the Biscuits,
Yeah,
right?
it's the Biscuits, the Montgomery Biscuits, as our listeners from our last
Montgomery
episode.
Biscuits. The Casper Ghosts is another good one.
Yeah, the Baby Cakes, I think, was one in New Orleans.
The Modesto Nuts.
Yeah.
They're just nuts, like
just
actual
nuts, like-
hard shell nuts.
Yeah.
And yeah, one of the ones that stuck was the Trash Robbers. So it's an adorable raccoon that's going to steal your trash and also hit dingers. I assume.
Hopefully, it get called up.
Yeah.
Because it's still minor leagues.
And as we saw from the movie, the minor leagues is a tough place for an animal to try to play baseball.
Indeed.
Cool. So I'm good to go whenever you are.
Yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and get started recording. Thanks again so much, everybody, for being here, and thanks to Storyport for having us. So, away we go. Jimmy!
Matthew.
What's up, man? It's our second live show in as many weeks.
Yes, it's also our third live show in as many years at Treefort, or Storyfort at Treefort.
The math checks out.
Yeah, so we have done this 3 times in 3 years, but also two times in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Those are all true things that you just said.
It's not. Wait, were you expecting a better reaction from you saying virtually the same thing?
I don't know, I was kind of hoping you would do a better opening than that, because I didn't have anything.
Oh, okay.
I was sort of a softball, and then nothing happened.
I think the opening of saying a thing, having me agree with the thing, and then mocking me for agreeing with you is a really solid bit.
Well, that's why they brought us here. Folks, we are That Baseball Show. My name is Matt Melton.
And I'm Jimmy Bowman.
And we're here as always to discuss, debate, and dissect a cinematic classic, really, sort of a record-setting cinematic masterpiece here.
Yeah, so for those of you who saw us last year, and those of you who didn't, I guess, last year what we did is we reviewed the classic baseball film Air Bud 7th Inning Fetch, which was, I still would like my title better of Air Bud Middle Inning Retriever, but 7th Inning Fetch is what we had to review.
See, we had an episode where before we knew that 7th Inning Fetch was a thing, we had an episode where if there was an Air Bud movie that was about baseball, what would your title be? And I went with On Bark Percentage, which I thought was very good, but that was apparently not. 7th Inning Fetch actually is probably better.
Yeah, that's the one they went with, and we can tell you flat out, 7th Inning Fetch is better than the movie we reviewed for this one.
Yes, we're going to be discussing the 1996 cinematic masterpiece Ed, wherein Matt LeBlanc from Friends plays minor league baseball with a chimpanzee. Now, it's important to point out that this movie was ranked, I think, 87th out of the 100 worst movies of all time on IMDb. And I would say that it earns it.
Yep.
I'd say that it earns it. Having sat through it twice now, once for sort of a comprehension and once to mark out kind of the real good scene nugs for us to kind of go over it and watch, because you really, some of this you have to watch live.
Yeah.
Let me be clear, none of this you have to watch live, you probably should. But if you're going to sort of follow along with our whole scene,
You have to
probably
watch
need see
us
something.
having watched it live.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
That's, I think that's more,
That is the proper
that's closer to where we're at.
So just to give a little bit of context, if you guys know who Matt LeBlanc is from Friends, there was a time when all the Friends stars were big enough, they were going for big, major motion pictures, and they were going to be stars.
They're sort of testing the waters from a cinematic aspect.
And Matt LeBlanc had 2 features that he went for it on. If you can remember them, good for you. The first one was Ed in 1996. The second one was Lost in Space in 1998, and I saw both of those in theaters. Here's my Lost in Space story to give you a sense of how that one went. I was like 10, and I liked it. And it's mostly because I had a crush on Lacey Chabert, who was in it. But as I walked out of the theater, one of the adults next to me went, "Danger! Danger, Will Robinson! Shitty movie!" And I looked at my dad, I was like, "I liked the time travel space movie."
And that review made it into the New York Times.
Yep. That is all I remember from Lost in Space. I remember nothing else except Gary Oldman's awful face on like a big bug. Or something. It could have been a dream.
I think it was a fever dream of a really sick child. I do remember that one as well, and I remember really liking it as well. I think I was 13 at the time. And then I think randomly it was on TBS like 4 years ago, and the end part where he turns into a monster.
Oh, that's what he does.
I'll spoil it for you. It doesn't hold up all that great. It doesn't hold up super great. It looks pretty bad.
So, Lost in Space was a huge bust. Ed, spoiler alert, was also a huge bust. It did not make its money back. It cost like $28 million to make and made $6 million in theaters, of which once again I contributed to.
At least a little, yeah.
And I made this joke last year. One of the fun things about watching Air Bud or the old Air Bud movies is knowing that the dog is now dead. It's a dead dog, and you're watching a ghost.
Almost certainly.
The same thing is true with Matt LeBlanc. He died many years ago, and there's a new Matt LeBlanc they replaced him with.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
sort of a fifth Beatle kind of situation.
Basically, there's tons of Matt LeBlancs out there in pastures. They all look the same. Kids can't tell the difference. You just replace one Matt LeBlanc with the other, have them say how you doing a lot, and yeah, kids are happy.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, do we want to dive into this?
I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what our lovely studio audience is here to hear us do, correct? Thank you very much for clapping so folks know that we're not talking to an empty room. That's real great for us.
Because the camera can only see
You
us.
can only really see the two of us.
Yeah.
So, stream, you're not alone. Yeah, so the year is 1996. Matt LeBlanc is sort of dipping his toe into the deep pool that is American cinema to see if he can sink or swim.
Some other classic movies that have come out in the year: Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise.
That's true.
Fargo came out that year, the original Fargo, which was wonderful.
Very true.
Another great Tom Cruise movie came out, Jerry Maguire. It was a good year for him.
Classic one.
Right, so lots of good cinematic masterpieces coming out that year.
And also Ed.
Ed.
Ed also was released that same year.
Yep.
So Ed is a story of a young farm boy named Jack Deuce Cooper, played by Matt LeBlanc, who I guess
And the deuce, to be clear, is for 2, as in like the sign a catcher makes.
the catcher sign for a curveball.
Yeah,
right.
it's not a sign of dropping a deuce or anything like that.
I don't think anybody thought that.
To be clear.
Okay, but as long as we're being super clear.
Yeah, they're calling him a compliment. Not feces, just so we're clear.
Okay, great. Cool. So now they're all on the same page. So baseball is a game played with a ball and a bat. There's 9 players and 9 innings.
And yeah, it opens up with basically. Okay, so one of the things that's going to be a recurring theme is this movie literally could have just been a movie about a chimpanzee playing baseball. It could have just been that. It's not that.
It
for some
wasn't
reason.
that, which is weird because I feel like that's sort of the core competency of a movie about a chimp playing baseball.
Yeah, like that's the thing you need to focus on. I can't believe that chimp played baseball. Look at him play baseball. Oh, the baseball with that chimp. They focused on a lot of other things, and they opened the movie up with just a general audition at a minor league baseball team, and this good-looking Oregonian farmer shows up, who's Matt LeBlanc, Deuce Cooper.
That only comes up one time, by the way, that he's from Oregon. That is introduced like so many elements of this movie and then promptly dropped.
And he shows up, and
Now, I kind of want to play this opening a little bit.
Do we want to? Oh, we're gonna play it? All right.
Now, before we get into this, going into this movie, I had two, really sort of 3 questions. Question 1: does someone at some point utter the words, "There ain't nothing in the rules that says a chimpanzee can't play baseball"? That was my first question.
Because that's true. Whenever an sort of wackadoo thing wants to play baseball, you have to establish in the rule book, can that thing play baseball?
And normally there's sort of a plucky side character that says, "Hey, it turns out there ain't nothing that says blank can't do blank."
Can a truck play baseball? No, if the rules say it can't, the truck.
To be clear, they have to expressly say that that's disallowed. That's how rules work, I guess, in movies. So that's one. My second question was, is there an actual chimpanzee at any point in this movie? And by that I mean, do they actually use like an animal, or is it an actor in a mask? That was my second question. These will all be answered, by the way, by the time we're done. And I guess my third question was, why? And that one won't get answered. I'm very sorry to say. Accepting that this was a thing we did last year, so we're doing it again this year.
Yeah.
With this movie. So I'm gonna play just like the quick. Now I'm gonna warn you. It's gonna feel like there's a scene missing already, like 2 minutes into the movie, and I promise you there is not. That it's just this is literally just how the movie opens, and it expects you to acclimate pretty quick. All right, here we go. Hang on, we'll back it up a little bit.
The nice thing is we'll edit this out on the podcast, so we'll sound.
Okay, here we go.
Okie dokie, gents. There's a perfect example of how not to get an invite to pitch for the Santa Rosa Rockets.
First scene of the whole movie.
So, who's our next victim? Steele's gonna take this kid downtown.
Holy torpedo, Batman!
Excuse me, sir. Hello, alarm. You ever play pro ball? No. Semi-pro? No. College? High school? Little league? No. Did anyone ever see you pitch? My mom.
Okay, we're gonna stop it right there.
Then credits.
We're gonna stop.
So to point out first off, that's the entire plot of The Rookie,
Yeah.
just in 30 seconds.
So you can check that one off your list.
Yeah, you saw it essentially. There's no need for Matt LeBlanc to be like a young farm-born cornbread prodigy. It serves nothing. This is a movie about a monkey playing baseball, but we also just for some reason have the folding in of a plot of a farmer kid who can also just has a hose for an arm for some reason.
And has that found himself at baseball tryouts somehow?
Yeah, he seems confused about the baseball tryout.
Well, clearly, because he's wearing the boots and the jeans. He's out of his element, and then throws a jillion miles an hour, and has to throw literally one pitch, and all of a sudden he has a minor league contract. One pitch. That's all he threw.
And the police officer, who surely has anything better to be doing that day, like policing, they're just using his radar gun to test one single pitch from a pitcher, and like, yep, he's got the stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And
He's
that's
some sort of natural.
that's how. And the very next scene is a year later. He's living with his parents, who are in one scene and never show up again. Also, I was like, "Bye, parents. I'm off to baseball game," and then he leaves, and then you never see them again. And then we're just in the middle of a minor league season, apparently, right
Yep.
then.
And one thing that is actually you also just saw the best part of this movie. This is true. Matt LeBlanc's pitching windup is the best pitching windup I've seen in any movie about baseball.
It's actually not bad.
Right? He, IMDb trivia, he has a baseball playing friend who he studied with and taught him how to throw a pitch.
Which I really appreciate his level of sort of laying out for a movie of this caliber.
Yeah.
Like, but really, like, no, I'm gonna do the best I can to make this look like it's legit.
And
This movie about playing minor league baseball with the chimpanzees.
And
It's gotta be authentic.
that's the highlight of the movie, that Matt LeBlanc looks somewhat like a minor league pitcher.
I mean, he's on the body for it. He looks like he, I don't know, could be an athlete. Some of those minor leaguers are just like, I don't know, have a bat, I guess. If Bartolo Colon can play Major League Baseball, anybody can play minor league baseball.
Yeah, so there we go. That's the highlight of the movie. And we're thinking, okay, we're watching this movie about this young, plucky pitcher who's got a natural hose for an arm, who at one point, this is true, they show a radar gun after a pitch in a game.
Oh, don't spoil it, don't
Oh,
spoil
you're
it.
going to show it?
Yeah.
Oh, no, okay.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay, so fast forward a little bit. He's on the Santa Rosa Rockets, which is a minor league team. And he's talking, he's introducing himself to everybody. None of these people have names. If they do, it doesn't matter. I'm sure it's on IMDb. No one is ever called by their actual name, so it's fine. And of course there has to be, because this is a kid's movie made in the mid-90s, there has to be sort of a creepy, he's set up as the antagonist, and he's the owner's son. And the interesting thing about the owner's son, the only interesting thing about the owner's son, is that he has a very badly placed toupee on his head. Now, as we all know, having watched a child's movie ever, that toupee is coming off. That's coming off very soon.
Yeah.
In a hilarious way.
Chekhov's toupee.
It really is Chekhov's toupee. If you introduce a toupee in the first act, you have to pay it off by the third act.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's bad writing.
Or in this movie, if you introduce a Chekhov's toupee, you have to pay it off in the immediate next
Basically,
scene.
in the next 5 minutes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you have the bad kid owner who's basically like the James Dolan, Daniel Snyder of minor league owners in California.
Sure.
Which is to say he's garbage.
Completely trash. Yeah.
He's a bad guy.
For reasons undetermined, he's just sort of like a weird, it's one of those things where bad things happen to him all the time because it's that external standard of good, the bad must be punished. So he'll routinely trip and fall, and there'll be a fart noise or something, and that's just like, whoa, nuts to that guy, he had it coming, he's a bad guy, I guess.
And I know you're asking yourself, okay, so we've been introduced to Matt LeBlanc, who's the main character, we've been introduced to the team, to the antagonist, who's the owner.
Such as he is.
When does Monkey happen?
Well, we're coming up on it. So here's what happens. Matt LeBlanc, whatever his name, Deuce has a bad, outing. And by bad outing, I mean they showed him throw one pitch. And his pitch was a curveball. Now remember, because his name is Deuce, he has to throw curveballs. Remember, the man can throw 100 miles an hour. And for some reason, he's trying to make fetch happen with his curveball. And he gets hit, and he goes 800 feet. And that's the only pitch you see of his. So right now he's pitched 1/3 of an inning with 1 run. So his ERA is at 54 or something. It's not good. And everyone's kind of dunking on him, but he's only had 2 pitches, which I feel like is not fair.
And
he had one really great pitch and one really bad pitch.
And do you notice what they all chalk it up to in the movie? The entire time, it's the guy who throws fastballs, throws one curveball, gets it hit out of the park, and the manager's like, he's a choker. And then all the players are like, he's just going to need more luck.
Right.
He's
just
they
a choker.
literally just talk
They
about...
introduced a horseshoe at one point, and he's holding it upside down. He's like, "Oh, you're holding it upside down. You gotta catch luck in the horseshoe and spray it all over yourself and put it into a bag." And then we never see the horseshoe again. There's just that one scene where they take up 5 minutes of your Earth time, of your finite time on this planet, talking about this horseshoe that never comes up again.
So rather than doing a human in sports thing by going maybe don't throw that one bad pitch you cannot throw all the time, they're like, he's a choker. Born a choker. He'll always be a choker. I know chokers. That man's a choker.
Yeah, so
I've choked people. I would choke him.
It's a game recognized game when it comes to choking, for sure. So he has one bad outing, of which we see one pitch. Everyone dunks on him. And then the manager, played by a guy that you would recognize, he's famous for playing grizzled old dudes, who actually does a pretty good turn in this movie. You see a scene with him and Toupee, and he hands him this book, this folder or something. And written on the folder, it says, "The Plan." That's it. Sort of conspicuously, so you see that this is the plan. And he mentions, I didn't catch this upon the first viewing, which is sort of a big plot point. It was the second viewing I saw, and he literally just glosses over. He's like, we got this from Mickey Mantle's estate. Mickey Mantle just died. Anyway, here's the plan.
Wait, what?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They never justify the monkey's talent, by the way. He's just really good at baseball. The justification is
that he was owned once by Mickey Mantle.
He's Mickey Mantle's son.
Who did die in 1995, so the timeline is actually fairly correct. So they got that going.
He's
for them, at
Mickey
least.
Mantle's project.
That is Mickey Mantle, and Mickey Mantle, I guess, had a plan to teach a monkey how to play baseball at some point, and wasn't able to execute on it before he died.
Mickey Mantle in his house, he's like, my legend is set, but could I make my legend more set? I must teach a monkey to play baseball.
And didn't.
And then Mickey Mantle has basically a Dr. Moreau
sort of a Marlon Brando.
room of just horrible
Yes,
humanoid
body
monkey
horror.
baseball players who all are begging to be murdered.
So you're telling me that Ed is like number 150, and
Yeah,
number
Ed's
149
Ed's
are
the one
just
who worked. Most
sort
of
of
his
begging
walking,
for
it's just
death.
this awful, like, it's just menagerie of things begging to not exist.
Yeah.
Every day is pain. Catch my fastball.
They weren't good fielders is what it was, so they needed to be 5-tool players. Many were killed. So, another thing to point out, there's sort of there's a pressure in this movie about cut day. Like they're gonna get cut. Now the season has started by this point. They've had actual games. There is no such thing as a cut day in the middle of a season. That all happens before spring training. So sort of the underlying time pressure for all this is like, oh man, Deuce has got to get it together. He's only thrown one bad pitch, but he's also only thrown one good pitch. He needs to make sure that he's doing good before he gets cut from the team in the middle of the season, because that happens, I guess.
Also,
it's like somebody watched Major League and then wrote a baseball movie, having never seen baseball but watched Major League.
Yeah,
that just happens, right? There's just cut days. Yeah, that's cool.
The clear binary is he's either cut or he makes the show.
Right.
Like, there's no in between, no, like, Crash Davis lifers or anything. He gets cut from the team, or he's going to the show. He's going to be a major leaguer. So those are the stakes, guys. Is our main character, our protagonist, going to get cut?
Somehow in the middle of the season.
Or going to go to the professional major leagues. And as we all know, life sometimes throws a chimpanzee-shaped curveball at you.
Doesn't it? So this is the next clip I want to play on this. So we're about 10 minutes into the movie. And there's an actor you'll recognize, Jim Caviezel, actually, in a role I'm sure he'd like to forget. Plays another contemporary of Matt LeBlanc's character in this, and he has I don't know. We're just gonna play it, and then I'm gonna kind of tear it to pieces. You should really see this. Okay, so he's just finished getting dunked on. Here's the end of the plan. Okay, here we go. There it is. Literally the plan. There it is. There he is, baby Jesus.
What's with this stick? Your looks kind of changed. For a cut week.
In the middle of the season, okay.
Down one and then.
I really like how Jesus stole that suit from a larger man.
Get arrested in Boston. So, he moves to Chicago, changes his number. Where's he headed now? That's right, Cooperstown.
This guy headed for Cooperstown because he chased? No.
No, Carlton Fisk is heading to Cooperstown because he's an amazing athlete and was in Boston the entire time. This is one of the things as a Red Sox fan that really bothers me about this movie, is that, I don't know if you heard it very well, but basically, Jesus was talking about how Carlton Fisk, like, couldn't get arrested in Boston because he was so bad, but then he changed his number and went to Chicago and played like a Hall of Fame career after that point.
And that's what
Not
we
even
call
a little
a
bit.
parable, Matt.
But it's not even a little bit
It's
true!
a parable.
It's not even true. He was Rookie of the Year and won a Gold Glove his first year in Boston. He hit maybe the most famous home run of all time, maybe prior to the 2004 season, in the 1975 World Series. It was the one where he's trying to wave the ball fair because it's wrapping around the foul pole, which they later named for Carlton Fisk. The left field foul pole is called the Fisk pole. The right field foul pole is called the Pesky pole. He was an 11-time All-Star. The Red Sox retired his number in the year 2000. He wasn't bad in Boston, so I don't understand why they're dunking on like the fact that he played in Boston for a while, and all it took was just changing his number and moving to Chicago. Like this is a Kobe Bryant thing. We're like, oh, this isn't Kobe Bryant the rapist. This is Kobe Bryant with a different number. That's why I'm not that same guy. Now I'm good and I didn't do any rapes. Which obviously it bothers me. I'm not really, you know.
I'm more bothered by the monkey playing baseball, but, you know, that's just me.
Well, we're getting there.
I know.
We're getting there.
I want to get there, Matt, to the firework factory.
Okay, Yes, that's exactly right. Okay, so we're at this point. He's down on his luck. He's being told incorrect baseball information. To top it all off, here we go.
What are you gonna mention? The only thing you're ever gonna have in common with all the things is your name.
Get it? Because it's
Now
Cooper.
here, pick this guy up. 8 a.m. at the bus. Why me? Guess it's your lucky day.
Okay, so now it's the opportunity of going to pick up another minor league ball player from the bus station. Now, this is sort of our last sort of breath of like everybody behaving like normal human beings do, because once you introduce the chimpanzee into this whole thing, it gets pretty buck wild, and that like people are just pretty all right with a chimpanzee just sort of being around. No one's like, holy crap, it's a chimp at any point. They're just like, well, yeah, obviously it's a monk, clearly, like.
Yeah, he's going to play baseball. I know how baseball works.
Acclimate, dude.
Yeah, literally everyone's mad at, like, Matt LeBlanc is the a-hole for not wanting to play with a monkey.
Yeah.
Everyone else is super chill about it.
Yeah, that's sort of his hero's journey he has to overcome. That everyone is already there, I guess, because they're all just super cool with the chimp. So here's where we meet Ed for the first time.
Excuse me. I'm supposed to pick up a ball player. Let's go.
By the way, he's a monkey.
Hey. Hey, buddy, wake up. Hey.
Just your average, like, Matt LeBlanc did his own stunts.
All those stunts, yeah.
That's my favorite part. He's going to beat the new ball player to death with the tire iron out of fear. What?
And here's our guy. He's our star. And it's bus driver's problem, so anyway, bye. Do you remember once upon a time you could mail children through the postal service? Like you just stuck a little thing on their lapel, and like mail carriers were sort of obligated to take them to where they needed to go. It was a while ago. None of us were alive then. This didn't happen last year, Jimmy. This wasn't like a
Just making sure.
Obama era rolled back because we're too easy on kids or something.
Yeah. Typical Trump presidency, letting us mail kids.
Right. Kids are tough. There's a bunch of snowflakes. You got to send them through the mail.
Can-
No, so we're all just okay with like a chimpanzee just riding a bus to Santa Rosa, which I think is New Mexico. That doesn't really matter.
Can
None of this
I
matters.
point out now really quickly, you all saw that thing. You saw its face, right? Clearly that's not a real chimpanzee. That's a puppet. That's a machine.
Yeah.
That's special effects.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, okay, I signed up for a movie about a monkey playing baseball. At the very least, I'm hoping in some wide-angle shots or something, you have at some point trained a monkey to do a baseball-related object. I've got news for you guys. Not at a single point is there a real chimpanzee they use in this movie. That's what you get. You get a chimpanzee. You get a machine.
That just sort of manages to go like 85%, which means it lands comfortably in the sort of the uncanny valley of like, they're definitely trying to make this look like a real chimpanzee face, but there's like human eyes in the middle, and it's very disconcerting.
Want to hear the bad joke I thought of when we were watching that movie, Matt?
Not especially.
I was gonna say out loud when we were watching it, who did that special effect? Industrial Light and Tragic?
And that's the end of it. All podcasts are over, and that's it. Goodbye, everyone.
I won podcast, guys. So yeah, it's especially disappointing, and a fun little IMDb tidbit. This was under the movie trivia. That monkey, the puppet machinery in the face was so loud that they had to overdub monkey voices post facto.
Basically, they had ADR almost
Yeah.
every single scene of the monkey was
So-
in because it was so loud. Like the gizmos and the frickin' servos happening in the monkey face were so overwhelmingly loud that none of the dialogue came through correctly.
So not only
now let's just be in that moment for a minute with an actor playing next to a dude wearing a robotic monkey face. That has to be very disconcerting. So if there ever seems to be like a weird reaction, just know that like at the time that it was shot, they're saying like, Ed, you're my best friend. And he's just like, like horrifying sounds that shouldn't be coming from anything.
See, I was picturing more of a Ed, you did it again, and then it's that grisly visage going, and Matt's just like, look serious, he's your best friend.
Oh, you.
Or something.
That's no good.
Yeah.
It's really no good. We should point out, okay, this is not a bad time to point out that in whatever, the 5-minute mark of the movie, there's some woman who we have not been introduced to, by the way, who's watching this game on television because apparently they air the minor league games on television wherever they are. And she just looks at that and she goes, oh, Deuce. And it's just like, because he's struggling. This woman will end up being Deuce's love interest. Not that you could tell that from the 3 or 4 times that they end up speaking in the entire film. It's just, the Bechdel test has failed so spectacularly on this. It's just I don't know if Bechdel's alive or dead, but either way,
She's super alive.
She's spinning in her grave.
She's super alive.
It killed her and now she's spinning in her grave. In her freshly dug grave, she's spinning because it's very bad. You will see her before too long with all of this. Okay, so I want to jump forward a little bit.
All right.
I kind of want to jump to the magic coin. Can
Yes.
we talk about the magic coin?
Sure, if we have to.
I feel like we sort of have to.
Okay.
Because this is one of the only sort of conceits that the movie picks up and actually sticks with more than once. So the 2 old grizzled managers are sitting in the office or whatever, and one of them even mentions we're 30 games into the season already. This is a half hour into the film, and they have this sort of what do you call it? Superstition, I guess, where they flip a coin and the coin is always right, whether or not the person makes it or doesn't make it in the major leagues, okay?
It's how they're deciding the future of their players by flipping a coin.
Well, I think it's more what do they have it in them or not? The coin knows for some reason. So I'm going to play the bit where they flip it for our boy Jack here, our boy Deuce, and sort of let you be the judge. Magic is real, in other words, in this thing. Okay. That's close enough. Here we go. No, that's not it at all.
Oh.
Here's another bad part. Here we go.
What's the occasion?
It's when you need a special occasion to drink a beer.
No, I just want any umbrellas on it.
Huh? All those. We're 30 games in.
30 games in, and we're also facing a cut day, by the way, because apparently you just cut players in the middle of a pennant race, I guess? That's just how it works in this film. Also, I want to point out, not to spoil it, this is the best acted scene in the entire film. These 2 were horribly underutilized, and I feel very bad for them both. They're stately character actors both. They're doing the best they can.
Let's start with a real easy one, huh? Barnett.
Yes. Looks like you'll be in the majors someday.
Still works.
Barnett, by the way, is introduced, not that you would know this from watching the movie, so we'll just have to tell you because it took repeated viewings to figure this out. Barnett is apparently, I guess, his rival pitcher. They set that up, again, one time and never address it again.
Oh,
they kind of come to blows.
The Dice Clay guy?
Yeah. And then it's never addressed again. That they're rivals or whatever. One of them can make it, one of them can't. So there's Barnett.
Cooper. Hacks on my legs and call me short.
Of course.
Okay, shorty. I'll try it again.
No. Let it sit there a while. We'll see what side Cooper comes up on.
Symbolism! Get it? The jury's out on his major league career or not. Will it involve a chimpanzee? Yes. Yes is the answer to that question.
Most likely.
And they do actually keep coming to this. Like when there's like a bad part, you see the coin go, uh-oh, he's in trouble. Like that's the only thing that they ever introduced and ever return to from like a narrative, like plot device sort of standpoint. That's it. That's the only thing. So that's gonna sit on his desk. He never bumps his desk or nudges it or whatever.
Oh no, he nudges it and bumps it all the time in the movie. He's shutting drawers and stuff.
Not
and
such
they
that
always
it's gonna
show
make
it.
that magic coin fall down.
Yeah,
though.
they show it wiggling. It's like, no, the fates haven't decided yet, and that's what we're, then we just have to wait. So
Yes. Now at this point in the movie, we've only seen, and just trust me on this, we're not gonna make you sit through this part. He's only thrown 2 pitches in the entire movie. They were both curveballs, and they both went for home runs. Now I found a calculator online that would calculate his earned run average based on that. So a third of an inning pitch, 2 runs, 2 hits. His ERA is something like 54 right now.
yes.
Which the worst career ERA or season ERA for a player was Jesse Orzoko in 2003 with a 7.75 ERA. He played 65 games and he pitched 34 innings and he managed to get 7.75 ERA.
Do you know what
So-
team he played for?
It was baseball reference. There were several.
I was gonna say, yeah. If your ERA is 7, you're playing for several teams that year.
Yeah, that's true. So on the one hand, you can be like, yeah, he's very bad. That's a legendarily bad thing. But again, they've only ever seen him throw 3 pitches to this point. Ever.
And
one of them was his tryout, and then 2 of them were in a game situation. That's all we've seen.
To be fair, it's deeply unclear if they're only showing us the bad pitches or if he has in fact only thrown 3 pitches. The movie doesn't really bother to make the distinction for us. It's just like, he threw a curve, he's bad. What are you going to do? The coin, we don't know.
He gets booed, and then the coin wobbles, and then all is bad.
Anyway, monkey!
Monkey!
And, yeah, that's the movie's pretty much basic, so.
Now let's stop dancing around. The people who came to see a monkey.
Yeah, Matt, when are we going to watch a monkey play
The
baseball?
people who came to see a monkey, we have to give the people what they want. More or less what I was thinking as well. So I want to go to a part of the movie. Again, there is no setup for any of this. The team all of a sudden starts playing very badly. Now we know that Deuce isn't good based on the 3 pitches that we've seen, and 2 of them were bad. So he's bad 60% of the time. We know this. Well, let's stipulate. All of a sudden, the team also is doing very poorly as well. And again, this is never a thing before. This isn't like a major league, like they're lovable losers. The team is all fine except for Deuce, except for right this second when it's sort of narratively convenient for that to be the case. So here we go. Here's this part. 39.
That's true, it's 40 minutes until the monkey does a baseball thing.
Where are you gonna come?
Yeah.
Now bear in mind, there have been 2 comically bad baseball plays to happen here. One was basically an E5, and the other one, it was a pop fly that hit the third baseman right in the head and he fell over. So that's why we're at where we're at right now, base runner wise. Nothing to do with Deuce. That is ERA, that is not FIP.
Okay, Ed. Let's give it a shot.
Hey, Chuck, suck the monkey. He's the best looking player you got.
That's the first good idea you've had in 20 years.
Always in that cute.
And taking along with Joe. Hang on to your peanuts, Rocket fans.
Hey, there, Chuck. Reserve, sir.
That's a hell of a glove.
What the hell's going on here, Bobby? Tell Chuck get this animal off the field. We got a positive report.
Okay.
Okay, guys, brace yourself. We're going to have an awful discussion in just a moment.
Now by awful, I think I definitely mean sort of in depth and hard hitting. I'm really glad that a movie like Ed could tackle the tough issues facing the youth of America in the mid-90s, like racism.
Yeah, just wait for this.
This animal play ball, Chuck. That's all he does.
Stop. Roll for it.
Oh, wait for it. Oh, guys, this is so good. Remember that first question I had?
What does it say in the rule book?
There exists no rule that requires a player to be of Homo sapien origin.
Homo what?
In other news, in other words, there ain't no rule that says a chimp can't play baseball. We did it! We did it! 40 minutes in, we did it.
They asked the second baseman for some reason about it, but I guess the ump's going to trust him.
Who is apparently knowledgeable about these things, sort of like an encyclopedia guy. And again, this is never brought up ever again.
It's
They never go to him with another piece of knowledge. He has this one thing this one time. We're all just supposed to understand that he knows things. And we don't ever deal with it ever again.
Now, how does the movie respond to this?
Oh, wait a minute, you got a yank on my chain or you're in this together, right? It's a monkey for crying out loud.
Chimpanzee, actually. His name's Ed. Sullivan. Ed Sullivan.
There's no reason he makes that up at that moment. There's just no break.
No, he's not serious. Chuck, you're not putting that monkey in this game. That monkey does not play in this baseball game. Look, we let all kinds of people play in this game.
Oh, that's big of you, Greg.
That's not what I'm...
Yikes, we're gonna stop right there. Yikes!
Yep, so, okay.
He did a racism right there. Yeah, and okay, so that's bad. It gets better? Is that fair to say?
Just let it happen, Matt. Let the movie speak for
You
itself.
know that's not what I mean, Bobby, but when it comes to monkey, draw the line.
It's not a monkey. He's a third baseman.
Fine. But I'm not going to be a part of this trash.
Oh, fine. You're out of here.
Wait for it.
Baseball is America's game. Every American, regardless of race, creed, color, species, body hair, brain size, has the right to play the game. Take a position, son.
Cool. Couple things.
Okay.
Couple things.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like a lot of this game, or a lot of this whole movie was maybe predicated on that guy being a racist, because I feel like he kind of let Ed play as sort of an FU to the racist other team owner or manager. That's one.
I mean, okay. So let's put ourselves in the shoes of the writers of the movie Ed, okay? You are writing a movie about a monkey playing baseball, and in your brain you go, okay, it's the first time a monkey has played baseball, as far as I know, according to the movie's logic. What are some other historical firsts? You don't have to do this.
No, this is a child movie. There's
Yeah.
no reason to tackle any of this.
You don't have to make us have this conversation. We don't have to draw any sort of parallels about...
10 minutes before, there was a 10-minute sequence where Ed just farts and poops a lot and is very annoying to Joey Tribbiani, who is his roommate, and he's very upset by that. And it is a completely joyless scene. There's nothing funny about it. It's not played for laughs. I mean, maybe it's supposed to be funny. So we've got this movie where just a fart noise is a punchline.
You don't have to make the relatively explicit connection between the chimpanzee being a sort of Jackie Robinson of his species. But they chose to, and they chose to do it in this manner. By one, having the other manager go, we let all kinds of people play baseball, and then the African-American umpire pointing that out, and then giving a speech about how baseball is for all races, all creeds, all brain sizes and body hairs.
I feel like he's also sort of wading into what I would say is questionable jurisprudence here, because he basically just said that chimpanzees have rights if they were born in America. Like there's a personhood there.
Yeah, that is Mickey Mantle's son.
Which is it's very problematic. And oddly enough, this also does come up again in the movie. The idea that he could be a person or own property or do like that. We're gonna drop everything that we just in the first act about his family and about whatever, and the faceless woman who I literally had to IMDb the name of because it's never said, that ends up being his love interest. But we're gonna come back to the whole concept of Ed having sort of like autonomy as a person in a kids movie.
Yeah, so you might think it's an extremely bad taste to have an African-American umpire give a speech about the firsts of baseball, explicitly more or less drawing a connection between a chimpanzee and Jackie Robinson. You might think that's in bad taste.
And you're right.
Because it is.
Yep.
But Ed does not. Ed is a pioneer. Ed is a first of his kind. And the movie just lets this happen. And my God, it's the most awkward conversation to have about this. And let's never speak of it again.
Yep. It's gone forever. Okay, I don't want to linger too long on this scene, but you have to see Ed in action because that's really where they sold tickets at all with this. So here we go. Ed's taking his base. Oh, hey, by the way, hey, Gary Gergich, how are you? You guys see that?
Pleasant to see.
That's the baby Jim O'Hare back before his hair went white. I don't know. That's all I have on that. There he is. There he is, trundling along the third.
First announcer in history who said that. Oh, darling.
There's a reason for that. There's only been 15 of those ever in the history of Major League Baseball, and it's just a triple play, which Ed does on his very first play in the field.
He's a good baseball playing monkey.
We all know, I mean, triple play, right? You eventually get all 3 outs by yourself. It doesn't happen very often. 15 times, as a matter of fact. So I'm not surprised that old grizzled baseball guys never seen that before. But of course, Ed can do it in one go, because remember, he's Mickey Mantle's son.
Yep.
That means he is a person.
He's
not a
the
child.
seed of Mickey Mantle.
I-
Mickey Mantle's unholy offspring. Mickey Mantle had a monkey wife. Solely for experiments to create a better baseball
I think
player.
that happened off camera.
I'm going to draw a diagram for you.
Yeah, please.
Mickey
No,
Mantle.
we're moving on. We're doing from there. Okay, so that would give you an idea. There's more of that. Flips and tricks, and honestly, the guy in the monkey suit did a very good job with the acrobatic aspect of it. Okay, so later in the game, he also has to go up to bat. And I'm not going to show you the at bat because it's actually very boring. It's also the most technically correct thing about baseball that they get in this entire film. Here's how it goes. The manager, the grizzled manager guy on the right says, "All right, Ed, you're up to bat. It's the bottom of the ninth and the bases are loaded. We just need you to draw a walk." Which I thought was kind of fairly reserved for a movie about a baseball playing chimpanzee, because he goes up and he does exactly that. Because the strike zone is so small, that is technically correct. It will be very difficult to throw a strike against a chimp.
You're forgetting one important component. Ed gets the bat and realizes the bat is too big for him, takes the bat in his teeth, breaks the handle off, and then holds a much smaller bat.
Now, when you say forget, I more was sort of intentionally glossing over that part because it made my brain hurt.
I'm in the podcast too, Matt. I can also say things.
All right. Well, okay. So he does this, and with the reservation of this movie is lacking. You would think he just hits a grand slam and wins the game. No, he draws a walk. So actually, his on-base percentage is very good at this point. So hasn't hit anything, but he can draw a walk with the best of them. He's sort of the Kevin Youkilis of monkeys.
He doesn't ever hit the ball, does he?
No.
That's so frustrating.
That's the only time he ever is at bat. That's his only at bat he ever gets in the entire movie. We never see him again.
I'm so mad!
And I will play it for you because it's the only one, but it's just him drawing a walk and everyone talking about how hard it is to pitch a walking.
So
that's it.
The entire drawing point is a monkey playing baseball, and at no point, the monkey only does flip-de-doos, catches the ball, throws the ball really fast. You never have the monkey bat and hit the ball successfully. Was it not realistic enough?
No.
What was the thought process behind not letting me have a monkey bat?
It's one of the sublime pleasures we never get from this film. We never do.
The writer's like, that's a step too far. That's such a small strike zone. That monkey would be wise to never swing the bat at all. I'm a genius.
I almost guarantee it was like the nephews. It was like one of the writers know-it-all nephews. It's like, well, actually, the strike zone from a monkey wouldn't be very good, so you can't really have him swing a bat. Like, well, we have to get this right.
It's got to be every.
We have to get this right, nephew. Thank you.
Yeah, it's got to be every time Ed came up and they tried to have him swing a bat, they'd swing the bat and they sparks would fly out. They're like, all right, you can't swing a bat. That'll break the machine.
Yep, nope, that's no good.
Do you have nightmares about this? I do.
That is actually probably true. I wonder how delicate that rig was. If you tried to actually crank a bat over, the head just comes flying off or something. That would be any good.
I mean, it's basically a tiny person with a computer on their face being a monkey.
Yeah.
They should have just gotten a real monkey.
Really, this is one of those spots where they probably should have gotten a real monkey.
I hate this movie.
Okay, so immediately after this, following game, and I kid you not, we actually see the scoreboard in the back. The game has literally just started. Deuce throws one bad pitch. It's a wild pitch. Catcher still catches it, but it's a ball, far outside. The manager pulls him for Bartlett or Barnett or whatever his name was, and everyone starts booing and whatnot. Deuce got dunked on again. Oh no! But the Rockets start winning, and we get sort of this like the spinning paper montage about Rockets win again, whatever. Hey, here we go. Hey. And all of a sudden, Ed is ending up on freaking Sports Illustrated and Muscle and Fitness. And I think Team Beat as well was in there.
Can we talk about one scene that happens before this? I just need to say it.
Sure.
Because it's
It has to be said.
Oh my gosh. So the entire time Matt LeBlanc is living with this monkey, and this monkey he's not behaving himself, guys.
You get into some shenanigans.
He won't do like people do. And at one point, Matt LeBlanc, after the monkey's been doing some hijinks and like breaking stuff, Matt LeBlanc shuts the door, looks pretty much in the direction of the camera, and goes, I'm gonna spank that monkey.
That's an actual line that is said. Yeah, in a child's movie.
Yep. I'm gonna jerk it furiously. The basic point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No.
That's the implication of that line.
I don't
Because
think...
otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Because when I'm angry at an animal, I don't think of a pun related to sex about it.
Well,
Personally.
how many animals have you been angry at, to be fair?
So many, man. I go to the zoo and just yell.
I think they're better than me. Okay, so that definitely happened, and he kicks the door down or whatever. Okay, so Ed is on the cover of all these magazines. Again, like, I can't figure out exactly where in like the minor league system the Santa Rosa Rockets are at. I'm fairly sure it's like high A at best.
A single A.
So they've got a single A baseball player making it on the cover of Sports Illustrated and all that. And everyone's...
Team Beat. He's on Team Beat.
He's on Team Beat.
Yeah.
And literally, you can read the caption on the Team Beat magazine that's like, what's Ed wearing? What's Ed doing? Ed, Ed, Ed! Because like no one's actually going to be reading this because the monkey on the Team Beat magazine is insane. So all of a sudden there's the cut day. We get to cut day. And again, this is not prompted by anything. It's one of those like, a grizzled little manager comes out and he's like, if it was up to me, it'd all be on the team, but we gotta do this in the middle of a pennant race, apparently. Like, they literally go from worst to first because of Ed, yay Ed. But they don't have to cut people for some reason. And guess who gets cut? It's Jesus. They cut Jesus.
Jim Caviezel is the only person on the team who gets cut.
He's the only one. Yeah.
And he'll get his revenge.
He will. I think he's gonna be just fine. Relative to everybody else who's in this movie, I think Jim Caviezel's gonna be fine. So they go out, all the rest of the ball players go out, and they toast, what's his name? We keep calling him Jesus because his name, he has a name, it's not important. To Jesus, and they all clink their glasses together. And Matt LeBlanc is very drunk, and he can't drive home. Guess who didn't have any alcohol? Our favorite baseball playing chimpanzee is named So Ed got the DD. Ed got the DD for our boy Matt LeBlanc. Don't believe me? Read on, reader.
Strap in.
That was the only conversation those two ever had the entire film, by the way. Not just that one.
Well, show.
Also, is it 5 o'clock in the afternoon that he's done drinking?
Well, it's the magic hour. You have to film everything in the magic hour, regardless of whether it makes sense of the day that you would actually be doing the activity. Oh, those eyes.
Don't hesitate. Designate. Ed. I was only kidnapped. And I was...
then they died. Then they both died because animals should never be driving a car, and they're now dead.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the movie. I thought it was pretty dark, but it teaches an important lesson about death, I thought.
Yeah, we're all gonna die one
The
day.
horrible consequences of irresponsibility.
May your death be at the hand of a driving monkey.
Yeah, for sure. I want to pay attention to we haven't heard much of it, but this movie has got a sort of a lot of weird dad music, I sort of felt like, for a movie aimed at kids ostensibly. We have Meatloaf just there. There's also Bob Seger, Merle Haggard, Dire Straits, Tom Waits, are all actually on the actual Ed soundtrack. They all actually signed off on all of this, and I wasn't sure.
I mean, to be fair, Tom Waits in his catalog certainly has probably several songs about monkeys playing baseball.
Well, we all remember Tom Waits' children's album that was extremely good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And the monkey took a baseball glove with the clown.
Sharing is good.
Yeah.
Everyone's got to share. Yeah.
Kids love Tom Waits.
Kids love Tom Waits. Everyone knows that. So what makes me kind of wonder, who is this movie for exactly? Because none of those kids, those artists were old in 1996. So this movie is aimed at children. What are we doing with Bob? I love Bob Seger. Let's stipulate. Bob Seger's the man. What is he doing in a movie about a chimpanzee that plays baseball, though?
Collecting a paycheck.
Exactly so. Okay, so we're going to gloss over this a little bit. Around the 53-minute mark, the 53-minute mark, we finally have the first sort of romantic interlude with Deuce and Lydia. Lydia is her name. I had to look it up. I watched the movie twice. I never once caught it. But her name is Lydia. And she...
I just called her Mama Short Jeans.
Mama Short Jeans.
Yeah.
Literally in the 5th minute, you see her one time, and because she is a human female, you just know that she's going to end up with Deuce. Because that's how storytelling worked in the mid-90s.
She's literally the only
woman on the planet.
Yeah, the only female in the movie.
Yeah, and she's going to end up with Deuce. We all know this.
So
they have their, second conversation, and they decide that it's going to end in a date. Also, the little girl at one point, more or less apropos of nothing, asks Deuce if he's gay, and is that why he hasn't asked her mom out yet? This is maybe the 8th word that she's ever said to Deuce at this point. And they play it for laughs. He's like, no, I'm not, what are you talking about? I'm not gay. Which is really sort of upsetting, I suppose, from a modern day thing. Also, the very first time they see her, the 5-year-old, comments as Deuce is walking away that he has a nice butt. And the mom says, now honey, that's not a nice thing to say to adults, and anyway, you have a very, very, not a good relationship with body and body image, and you should sexualize adults that way. Just kidding. She goes, Catherine, or whatever her name is, and that's as much as they give her. That's all I give it.
I mean, Matt LeBlanc's, he's a snack.
Timmy, I know that, and you know that, and the people watching know that, but 5-year-olds don't even know that.
SNACC. He's a snack, Matt.
That's how you spell snack.
That's how I spell snack.
So they go on they go to the carnival and he gets to show off and he throws baseballs and he wins her a giant, you guessed it, stuffed gorilla. Yeah, absolutely. And something about, there's a very joyless, kind of horrific scene where the monkey and the little girl trash the apartment that they're in, they clean it up to yakety sax or whatever, minutes before they show up.
There's also an excess in this movie of jokes about what Ed watches when he turns on the TV. Literally, we get to see him watch 4 or 5 different shows just for the humor of it. One show he watches is Friends, where there's the monkey in the Friends episode.
Get it?
Yeah, worlds colliding.
Get it?
He watches King Kong. He watches another monkey movie. But
a lot of black and white monkey cartoons.
Yeah, one important thing is Matt LeBlanc comes in at midnight. And the broadcasting hours are done and they're playing the national anthem, and Ed is standing there like this on the national anthem on TV. Ed won't take a knee.
Hey, listen, take a knee my ass. Ed won't take a knee.
No, so they just that's
because Ed is an American and he was given American rights by an umpire 20 minutes later. So.
They're gonna sign a monkey, but that monkey better not protest.
Gorillas, they get the job done. So okay, an hour and 7 minutes into the film, I feel like I sort of realized there's no real antagonist or sort of nadir on this particular hero's journey. So all of a sudden, Ed, out of the blue, is sold by the toupee to another team. He's it is this horrible kind of, they capture him, they throw him in a thing, in a cage, in the back of a truck, and he's howling, and everyone's bummed out, and Jack is literally chasing the truck away, And the guy's like, well, you're a little chimpanzee, just earned me a bunch of money. Anyway, and he rolls up the window and drives off. Like he's the sort of gross, capitalist guy that all children are supposed to hate. I kind of just want to play this a little bit because this has maybe the funniest line in the entire film. And it wasn't played for laughs at all, but that's all I'm going to give it. That's all I'm
Funnier
gonna
than
give it.
Spake the Monkey Man?
Okay, absolutely
good to know.
funnier than Spake the Monkey. Okay, here we go.
Take it out. That's just earned me an enormous amount of money. You're good in the championship team, and you'll be worth a lot of money too. You traded?
Sorry, hang on. Uh-oh. Because, oh right, we need stakes in this movie, I forgot.
What's going on? Hey, please, like, just shut up.
That seems fair, that was right.
You're good in the championship team, and you'll be worth a lot of money too. You traded him? I sold him.
Hey, Jack. The rough sold Ed.
Who's right, the rug shoulder? I want you to concentrate on the championship game. Remember, I love them just as much as you did.
Okay.
All right.
Here's the hero's journey right here, wait for it.
He's not an animal, Chuck. He's a ball player.
All players get traded. Remember what the Rocha said? God watches over drunks and third basemen. He didn't say anything about pitchers. Now, one more thing. We're just bringing the sword here for the championship game. The way you pitch today, you pitch like that when Lasorda's here, and it could be a ticket to the big leagues for you.
Okay, so that's Lasorda, as in Tommy Lasorda, who in 1996 was still the manager for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So it's very important to me that you know that in the world of this movie, the Los Angeles Dodgers exist, the New York Yankees exist. We know that because Ed was wearing a Yankees hat. It's not like they had us create a bunch of fictional teams because they didn't have the rights or whatever. We understand that this exists. Santa Rosa Rockets aren't real, I don't think. I didn't look it up, doesn't matter. The Dodgers and the Yankees are definitely, look, I did a lot of research on this and I hate myself for it. So whatever, they're real or not, it's not important. It's immaterial.
It's also very important to me that you know that Ed was holding a Gatorade bottle and then dropped the Gatorade bottle and you heard a shattering sound.
That's a very good point.
Yeah, just one.
Gatorade was never ever made out of glass.
Yeah, no one
bottles weren't. Okay, so this is important. Okay, just remember that the major leagues exist. This will be important later, very very soon. Okay, we're coming up on the greatest line of this entire film.
How do they expect him to play without his glove?
I don't know, honey.
But it's his property.
Well, the way they see it, it's just an animal. So I guess he really doesn't own anything.
He owned third base.
Oh God, what a weird thing to say. Oh, in the middle of a debate about whether or not chimpanzees have property rights. Oh, he owned things. He owned the hot corner. Oh my God, that's the best line of the entire film. I do want to point out at this moment that no, I'm not going to point it out. I'm going to point out nothing. I'm going to let this go. Lydia, by the way. This is the 4th time she's ever been on camera.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. What am I supposed to do? Hey, Kirby stole them. What do you want me to do? Steal them back?
There's an idea.
Oh, Lydia, I can't do that.
Jack Cooper is in trouble. He worked twice as hard. If anyone else, it's just too much trouble.
That's not true.
That's
You
right,
know.
Jack.
That's actually not true because that's never been established in this entire film. Her accusations of him being selfish are literally not supported anywhere else in the film. But here, it's interesting from a narrative standpoint to get in his face about being selfish for not stealing a monkey back from somebody who purchased it. So everything is meaningless and we're all gonna die someday, is sort of the moral of it.
They're also kind of all at this point just convinced Ed is people.
Yeah.
Like they fall on the like.
Remember that weird acclamation that we talked about at the beginning of this episode, at the beginning of this podcast? Everyone is just sort of okay with this, and I feel like Deuce is the only one who's like, no, because he's not a person, you see.
Ed has proved his humanity by owning third base. Like that's enough for them.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all a man has in this world is the base that he plays. Okay.
And if this ever gets kidnapped, remind me not to go after her. It's just too much trouble.
Okay. So that's enough of that right there. So there's a rival ball club that Ed gets sold to. Now again, remember, in this world we understand. There are the Yankees, there are the Dodgers, there are major leagues in this world. Ed gets sold to a team called the Palominos. He breaks into the facility where the Palominos play.
Matt LeBlanc breaks.
Matt LeBlanc does to bust him out because he has to change of heart because he's been shown the error of his ways and that he's actually a person and whatever. He breaks into the stadium and he does this because he tells the security guard who recognizes it. He's like, "Hey, Deuce, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "Oh, I forgot my glove here the other day." So what we know about the Palominos from that is this: that they play in the same league as the Santa Rosa Rockets, who, by the way, are no more than like a high A ball club. That means that the monkey was sold to another single A team in a world where we know that he's an amazing player and that the Dodgers and the Yankees also exist. The 2K was talking about how much money he made on this deal. How much do you think an average minor league ball player's salary is? He made maybe a couple of grand on this deal, maybe. Like, that part, it shouldn't bother me so much, but it kind of does. That monkey was on Sports Illustrated, okay?
Yeah.
That monkey was a heartthrob team beat. I think so, sorry, for peanuts.
If we can elucidate the plan of the owner, just like I need to point this out. Basically what happens is the owner trades the monkey to another team. So all you assume is that the monkey's now going to be playing baseball for another team. That's how trades work.
Right.
What happens is Matt LeBlanc breaks into another facility, finds Ed. Ed is in a cage in a clown costume, being harassed by...
Like, he is mid-tase. The other ball players,
Yeah, I guess they're
of
all
course
ball
wearing,
players.
like, leather jackets and, like cuffed jeans and all that, are mid-tasing him. And that's just too much for old Deuce. So old Deuce kicks their ass. Ed breaks out, which he could have done literally at any time, but I needed the narrative motivation to do so. Bends his bars, smacks the other guy in the head and farts in his face or whatever he does. It's real bad.
Once again, I want to point this out. He gets traded to another team. The other team, instead of using him as a baseball player, puts him in a clown outfit, puts him in a cage, lets other ball players tase him. Our hero breaks into the facility, beats the crap out of other ball players, and then steals a monkey back. And then we're still really confused about what the stakes are. But just to heighten the
But they're
stakes,
about to get much higher.
Ed sees,
Buckle up.
Ed sees a truck that has his favorite treat in, which are frozen bananas, gets into the truck,
And gets locked in the back. And then the truck drives off.
and they later find Ed. Like, it's this whole sad scene. They finally get the truck to stop after this.
No, let's not
Okay,
gloss
okay.
over this. We're still not gonna play that. That's
Please,
terrible.
I don't want to.
There's a car chase. He's trying to flag the guy down.
Yeah.
We watch Ed is freezing in the back. He's eating all these frozen bananas, and his relatives tell me because he ate so many frozen bananas, and now he's starting to shiver because it's so cold where they keep the frozen bananas. And they stop the truck and they bust it open, and Ed is clinging to life.
And they put him in the hospital.
Not the actual, like a veterinary, not a whatever.
No, a
He's in a
hospital.
hospital bed hooked up to a heart monitor and stuff. He's got the little thingies in his nose, and he's got doctors and nurses.
Have you seen Brian's song? They Brian's song
I
Ed.
totally get Brian's song.
They put Ed in the hospital bed. I still can't figure out why.
Or what was wrong with him besides being very cold?
He was cold. I guess he got hypothermia from being in a cold area. He's covered in fur.
Yeah.
He can be in a freezer.
But he was clinging to life, though.
Like-
You can tell because the heart monitor was just going.
So it's not that Ed was just kidnapped. It's also that Ed got cold and now is in a hospital. And it's still the championship game.
That's right, it's the day of the big game. By the way, also, I guess they just play one game to decide, like, the champion. That never happens anywhere else, but it happens here, I guess. So one game to win it all. And Bartlett, or Barrett, or whatever his name is like, well, he's off playing with the monkey. Like, he doesn't deserve to start. They're like, we're waiting for him, we're waiting for him. And they drop off the hospital for people that human beings go to. And he goes to the ballpark and he gets there just in time to change.
Oh, and I need to tell you guys, we're not gonna play it, but there's nothing funnier than looking at that furry abortion lying in a hospital bed with an IV there. We're just like, this is the funniest thing. They're trying to make us feel bad for it at that point. And it's
There's like swelling sort of minor key music underneath. It's like, it's no good.
And it's even better when you imagine the hospital, like in the bed as they're filming it. All the worrying noises.
Little girl, you're gonna have to speak louder. That monkey face is very loud. We're gonna need you to come back in and do some ADR. Okay, so Deuce gets there to the big game, and he's fired up, right? He gets out there, very first pitch of the game. He throws 125 miles an hour. Now, let me point this out too. There's no mistaking this. And they're rubbing it in Bartlett's face or whatever. The coach is like, 125, huh? Let's point out, the fastest pitch ever recorded by any player ever was thrown by Aroldis Chapman. He's a closer. He defected from Cuba, signed a deal with the Reds in 2010. First of all, he was already throwing 100 miles an hour, and he started in AAA. So you feel like a guy like Deuce who could throw 100 miles like on the rig wouldn't be starting out in like high A ball, but whatever. Okay, fine. So Aroldis Chapman started in AAA ball, got called up to the bigs in September of 2010. August 2010. September of 2010 against the Padres. He hits 105.1 on the radar gun. That is the fastest pitch ever recorded by a human being throwing a baseball, ever. There are some unofficial ones that go up to like 107, 108, but that one had a radar gun, it was official, StatCast it, whatever.
Yeah.
Fastest pitch ever thrown by a human in history.
If I saw a 125 mile per hour pitch, I would like strip naked and cover myself in like animal's blood or something. The end times are here.
Absolutely.
Like, I would sacrifice live things.
Let's be clear, a 90 mile an hour fastball, you have a quarter of a second to decide whether or not you're going to swing the bat. 125 miles an hour is like it's the fastest thing ever thrown by a human, period. Ever. And he just hits it in the very first game. So he's pitching a complete game. It's going back and forth, and they score, and the bad guys score, and they score, and the bad guys score.
And we are mercifully getting near the end.
We are. It's very close. Cut to the little girl sitting in the hospital room with Ed, clutching his glove. And she literally holds his glove and she starts praying to Jesus and God and Jim Caviezel. And she says, Ed never asked you anything for anything, so I will. Help him get better from acute frozen banana sickness, I guess. I'm paraphrasing here. And she takes a glove and she sets it on Ed's chest. It's his glove. It's Ed's special monkey glove. And all of a sudden you start hearing
what you hear is the sound of the writers going, yeah, whatever, and they just throw it on the page, and you literally see you see the temperature, and you see everything of his like monitoring signs. All
and Ed pops up, and Ed starts pounding in his mitt, and Ed is fine, and Ed is cured, and the magic Jim Caviezel glove cured him.
Yep.
Praise Jesus and Jim Caviezel.
And then Ed assaults a doctor. I'm also not joking about this. He just takes a doctor who wants to give him a sedative, gives the doctor the sedative instead, and leaves.
Now let's be clear. Gives the doctor the sedative, and the little girl's like, how do we get to the baseball game? And the doctor, while coked out on tranquilizer, says, steal an ambulance. They're very fast. Guess what happens after that? We know Ed knows how to drive. It's ambulance town for Ed and the little girl. There it is.
And so you would be thinking now at this point, okay, the game is on the line. Ed's gonna come and be the hero and save the game and play monkey baseball and make everything okay. No! Ed just shows up to watch the game. And he's just in the audience.
In his hospital gown with a little thingy on still, hanging out with what's-her-face and a little girl and whomever.
And Ed's function is to inspire Matt LeBlanc to throw a good pitch.
To just be there. Now let's be clear. At this point in the game, Matt LeBlanc has gone 9 2/3 innings. He's pitched a complete game, but they're down by a run, or they're up by a run. Doesn't really matter.
8 2/3 too.
What's that?
8 2/3 inning.
What did I say?
9.
8 2/3.
I want to be pedantic.
Yeah, no, there's not extra innings. So he's pitching a complete game. He's also giving him like 4 or 5 runs, which you wouldn't leave. Yeah, whatever. Okay. So he's in there. And it's the last hitter. And it's a hitter that like was there the very first. It was the first guy to ever hit a home run off of him. It's his nemesis, and he's back. And old crusty manager's out there, and he's like, if it was up to me, I'd leave you in. But I don't know, having had you pitch the entire game, if you could pitch this last 1/3 of an inning. And they're hemming and hawing, and Bartlett's like, let me in, I'm gonna close out the game. And then we hear ambulance sirens coming in. And you start hearing a commotion in the stands. And we look over, and there's Ed in his hospital gown, giving a monkey thumbs up or whatever he did. It doesn't matter. He was like, yeah, I'm here, I got you.
He probably farted, basically.
Jesus and God just heal me, and I'm here for you. And then he farted probably or something. So after all, so he goes, literally nothing else happened, and then the crusty old manager's like, you're finishing the game because the monkey showed up. All right, we got you. And everyone starts cheering for some reason. And they call time. And he runs up and he smooches Lydia or whatnot, and he's there, and he's gonna face the dude. He's got tobacco juice dripping down his face. He's got this big chaw because all bad guys eat tobacco and smoke cigarettes. We all know this. Strike one. Right down the middle, right? 220, a quarter of a second inside the swing. Gets it. Strike one. Second pitch. Big bad guy hits it. It's going. It just goes foul, just by like a foot. But uh-oh. Larry Gergich tells us that now he's caught up to his fastball. His 125-mile-an-hour fastball. Somehow this other minor leaguer knows how to hit a 125-mile-an-hour fastball. Deuce can't throw the fastball. What is Deuce gonna do? What other pitch does he have, Jimmy?
Well, Matt LeBlanc certainly doesn't know until he looks into the stands for a little bit of inspiration. And the monkey goes... And he realizes,
yes, the curve!
There are, in fact, other pitches.
He has no choice but to throw the curve, the ball that has never once worked for him in this entire movie. He's got to throw the curve.
He's got the power of love.
He's got the power of love.
Love for a monkey.
What's he going to do? He's going to the curve on the no-shoot count. Let's watch this together and grow together as I feel that we've been through a lot. We're as friends. Let's figure this out.
The last time it's got a curveball and can't get it out of the zip code. So what's it gonna be?
Also, the guy's telling him he's gonna throw a curve, so maybe don't like announce your whole pitching strategy to the other team.
And the catcher held one finger. He said no, and the catcher's like, I got nothing.
Here it is. Yeah.
Funny thing is, he's just asking for a banana.
Yeah,
Banana. That's not Minnesota. That's a professional manager. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's in this movie.
They had to cut very quickly away from that because he literally finished his line and then turned to the camera and said, "Where's my check?" So they had it was a real tight. They had to snip that pretty good. They didn't want that in the movie.
Mr. Lasorda, you can't keep ending every take with money now, money.
Yeah, so now we've got Owner Jr., who is for some reason upset at this outcome. Like, his team just won the championship, but because he's the bad guy, he has to be upset. We all know this, right? So we've got him, oh no, we won the game. Wow, he's very upset. Also, so, if Cooper's in high A ball, he just won the game off the strength of a curveball that he's never thrown correctly before. Tommy Lasorda says, I want him in Los Angeles next week. He goes from high A all the way to the major leagues. Can we just, I know we've abandoned this at this point, but that's very upsetting to me. I just want to say that. Like, it needs to be out there. That's not how it happens. Give Tommy Lasorda his money, please and thank you. Okay, very good. Ooh.
Is it heads? They never established what heads means. They literally could have been tails. We would have bought it either way.
It's heads, so it's good.
Yeah.
And here's them driving off to, I guess, Los Angeles?
Professional baseball.
Froze the banana and almost killed Ed. Good enough to eat right now, though.
Ed has learned nothing.
And that's the end of the movie. That's literally how it ends. It's right there. That's it. Takeaways. You're legally required to say in a movie about an animal that plays a sport. There ain't no law in the rules that says an animal can't play this sport. That's like you do a crime if you don't do that. Like you have to do that. What else? Animals may or may not have rights. That's sort of an interesting thing. Also, we're making some weird racial sort of like parallels here, which were a little uncomfortable and weird.
If one of Mickey Mantle's unholy experiments wants to play ball, you let it.
You let it. Because it'll get you with this terrifying, noisy face.
That's part of Mickey Mantle. That is Monkey Mantle, yes.
That is absolutely Monkey Mantle.
Also, we're sorry.
You sat through all of that, but thank you for sitting through all of that.
But that's the main takeaway.
This is available for rent on Google Play. I don't recommend you do it. Keep your $3.99. We watch the DVD copies available at your local library, along with such classic hits. It's a 4-pack, because they can't get you to take more than one of these at a time. Sergeant Bilko, Dudley Do-Right, and Cop and a Half. So make sure you check out your library and rent all 4 of those.
And I can honestly say, of the 2 movies we've done so far, hopefully we get to do more in the future of maybe not specifically animals playing baseball movies, but of the 2 we've seen, Air Bud's 7th Inning Fetch is a way better movie than Ed.
Extremely better. And let's not forget, in 1996, that was a major theatrical release. The Air Bud 7th Inning Fetch was like the 9th Air Bud movie and went straight to DVD. Also, by far, a much better movie. It had stakes. You could at least follow it. They actually showed the dog playing and fielding.
Yeah. So, guys, don't watch Ed. Watch Air Bud, or don't watch Air Bud. I don't know. Go watch Annihilation. It's better. Go watch a good movie. That's all.
Go watch a good movie. Don't do what we did. Don't learn from our mistakes. Folks, that's about our time, and that's going to do it for us. We hope you had a good time. Stream, thank you so much for watching along with us on YouTube as well. We want to thank Treefort for having us, for setting this up. We want to thank the Hawaii for having us in this beautiful area right here to provide some couches and chairs for you. We want to thank you, the audience. Thank yourself. Give yourself a hand. Let us know you're still awake. Thank you.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so much. We are That Baseball Show. You can find us on Twitter at That BB Show. We are on Facebook, facebook.com/That Baseball Show. You are on Twitter as well, Jimmy_Bowman.
That is correct.
On Twitter, yes indeed. We got the YouTube channel going on this. If you want to watch the stream again for whatever ungodly reason, you can certainly do that if you're so inclined. We want to thank as well, the Knits for the use of their song Get Up, Get Out off their full-length album, Retreat. You're not going to hear that this evening because I'm going to put it in afterwards, but it's a great tune and they're a great band. You can find them at knitsmusic.com or facebook.com/the Knits. I think that's everything. Oh, rates and reviews. We would love rates and reviews on iTunes, Stitcher, really just iTunes, I think is the one. If you don't mind, a rate and review that helps other people find the show, and maybe a review will give people a better idea what the show's about, because I don't know what you were expecting, probably not this, but here we are anyway. This is sort of our core competency here. So that's pretty much all we got. Enjoy the rest of your Treefort. Thank you again so much. A couple of things, if you're interested, you Treefort goers as well, Saturday afternoon and Saturday at like 12:30 and like midnight, I'll be performing with Homegrown Theater. We're doing some select pieces from the Horrific Puppet Affair. If you've seen that, it's a yearly thing. They picked a few things out. We're going to be doing that. It's on the Treefort app. I honestly don't know where it is. It's in a building somewhere. That's not helpful at all, is it? It's in a building somewhere.
You guys heard it first. If you find a building,
there's a decent chance there's doing some puppet stuff in there.
Yeah.
It's by Big Woods Contemporary Theater. Joe, where is it?
It's on 8th Street.
It's on his street. We're narrowing it down, guys.
It's like, it's really weird.
Next to Trailhead. It's in a weird spot, but it's like Art Fort basically. It's a performance art spot. If you search Homegrown Theater in the app, you're gonna find it. Noon and 12:30 on Saturday.
Just wander downtown Boise asking puppets and you'll find it. Yes.
You might find
When someone
different
says
puppets though.
when
The thing
someone
about
says
Treefort.
that's true, there might be several puppets.
Yeah. Also, it's happening Sunday evening. I'm normally the DJ for this, or the host. I will not be hosting because Sunday is my birthday and I'm taking it off. But Boise Rockayoke live band karaoke is also happening. That's going to be at Tom Graney's. It's a closing night, Treefort party. I think it starts at a later time, like 10 or so. Definitely check that out as well. If you've seen karaoke, you want to see a live band, it's a pretty cool gig there. So there's all my plugs. This is it for you, right?
Yeah, I'm good. I've got nothing.
That's all your Treefort. Very
Yeah,
good.
just the long line of life is all that's left for me.
Some of which was spent watching this terrible movie. For Jimmy Lowe and I'm Matt Melton, thank you so much. We are That Baseball Show. We'll be back with you next week with another episode. Spring training is over.
Yeah, we've got our
in
season
like 7
predictions
days.
coming up.
Season predictions coming up on
Yeah.
our next app. We can't wait for that. So thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll be back with you next week. And remember, some people just want to watch the world bunt. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Please help yourself to a pin on the way out with our show. We've got a couple of different